It is 7:05. And I will call to order the Jamaica Selectboard Meeting for Monday, May 9th. And first thing, as always asked, if there's anything from the board to add to the agenda. I have a few, but are there others?
Yes. Just
I have
gonna,
something.
I'm just gonna ask you.
Quickie.
Okay, hang
Go
on.
ahead.
I'll get Andy first.
Okay?
Yep.
Just that I'm going to add Bridge 24, give the information to Wyndham Regional to get it on the list.
Okay, so I'll put that down.
That's all I gotta do is just tell you that, really.
Okay, well, we'll make it a formal item. We'll put it down in the bottom.
I'll just tell you what they asked me to do and
Okay.
get down with it. Do it.
All right, Kate.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that I ran into Greg Soshin at the dump, and he has cleaned out the swap shop, and he is intending to spend a couple hours every weekend kind of maintaining it. And he said he's volunteering to do this because he wants us to do something for the community, and he figures that Dan needs help.
Okay, well, I was gonna add that to the agenda, but you pretty much said it, so. But that's fine. So I'll still formally put it on the agenda, and we can talk a little bit more about that. And the other, I do have a couple other ones to, there's been a request from Chris Robbins to appoint another alternate to our communication union district. And also, Alice from the library has asked us to appoint a library trustee to fill a vacant role.
That's already on.
That's on there.
Okay, oh, yep, you're right, so sorry. And then the other item I'm gonna move up the discussion of the bid higher just after we talk about the minutes so that we don't keep you guys all night. Okay. All right, so next item on the agenda is to, actually, I'm sorry, there was one other one I do have on here. To review the cemetery mowing ban that we've just received. Okay.
That's under 200.
Yeah, that is,
Yes.
Yeah,
Cemetery mowing bid?
yep.
it was.
You were moving it up, right?
It
No,
was on
Oh,
there.
maybe because we talked about it.
it was on the one you sent around. I
Yeah.
saw.
This is different than,
Yeah, this is different. Absolutely right.
it's okay, we can go off this one.
Well, put it on there, I don't know why.
Okay, I didn't
I
realize
saw
that.
I saw it at home.
Yeah, I did too.
I did too. Because they're very different.
Yeah, these are just,
I just
Be
pulled this
different.
out of the email, so it's not on here.
I don't see it. You?
oh, you know, Terry sent around an email.
Oh, it
that's
was in,
why.
it's in the,
It's in the
I
email.
sent an email.
Just with the supporting information, but it's not in the
Oh, I
agenda.
looked at that.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
I really thought I was moving
There's
in my
a
mind, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what
I can
Confused.
actually
That's
print it
email.
all out.
Okay.
So we have it added to the agenda now.
Do you want a copy of it?
I've looked at them all.
That looks
It's
in.
like I have them here.
All right.
The one, right?
All right, we're,
Yeah, no, but I printed it.
second item on the agenda, now that I think we got the rest of the agenda done, is to approve the minutes from our last regular meeting from April 25th.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, updates, details, questions? All in favor of approving the minutes for the April 25th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. The next item is to approve the minutes from our special meeting on May 2nd,
So moved.
which is where we opened the bids originally.
So moved.
Second.
Second from Kate. Any discussion, details, questions on that? So all in favor of approving the May 2nd select board minutes, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
2 abstentions, 3, motion passes. Minutes approved.
That was a hell of a-
And now we'll jump right into a discussion of, basically at the last meeting we accepted, or not accepted, but we received 2 bids. And now it is on the agenda to review and possibly select those or ask questions if anyone has some. This is the bridge work to be done on Pikes Falls Road.
I think a couple of the questions were, how much time do we have to, you know, for the cast? Or Terry had a couple of, some information about what the state said, or whoever you talked to, about how the
Yeah,
latest dates we could do it.
well, you can get an extension past the first, I talked to Scott.
What's that?
The river engineer, I emailed him and he said he would do an extension. But then on the other side of that was the grant and how long we had to use it, and that was December 2023.
So we can push the grant off till next year, and if the work is in progress and there's delays, we can go further into October, is what that boils down to, right?
Correct. But
That usually leads to a longer road closure, of course. And,
When the weather's cold,
you know, anytime you push things toward winter, it's,
Right.
right, takes months.
especially up there, you know, that's
Another climate zone.
pretty high terrain.
Right.
Well, we got another whole year, is that what you said?
yes,
If we had, well, that's,
To use,
That's the
to
question.
use the grant. And then the question too is whether or not, we feel, and it's always hard to predict, I mean, you guys are probably in that same predicament of, what's the likelihood of what things look like next summer? Are there gonna be more delays, more supply chain, more staffing issues, all these things, but nobody knows those answers, so. So that would be our question of whether we accept one of these bids or whether we, which being at this time would probably put us late in the season. And then, or whether we wait and hold off and rebid.
it would be a rebid though, if we, like, did it in the next spring.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that it would happen this year at this point. It isn't so much our schedule as the precasters are.
Okay, that's what we're kind of like.
Right. And this bid would not,
Trying to
just
figure
so
it out.
would not hold through next year if we accepted it now for next year?
Yeah,
We accept
I asked that question to the precaster, and the answer was they would have to, they would hold the price if they had some money to, you know, basically retain materials and,
Sure.
so the other, of course, the other option is to rebid it in the winter,
Right.
but they might go higher.
Right.
too.
Right.
Pretty unlikely they're gonna go down.
That makes sense.
And could we get them next year? That's the question.
What's
If we
that?
did put the order in the winter, how do we know we're gonna get the precasters next year?
Kind of at the top of the list for next year.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
okay,
They would actually cast it during the winter.
okay, okay.
Would you guys, if you had your way, would you, I know it's not up to you, but would you rather see us do it that way, or?
I'd rather do it now, but that's not really an option, so.
Right.
Now, meaning like tomorrow, as opposed to
Yeah.
October, right? yeah.
July or
Yeah.
August.
And
But
what's,
Yeah.
What is the soonest? The soonest is fall?
But they,
If we pull the trigger now,
Yeah. It's unlikely to happen this fall.
even this fall is not, is, you think, out of the picture?
and that's mostly a precast, that's from the concrete people versus you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called some other precasters too, and pretty much the same story.
Yeah.
Um,
well, that's good to know. I think if we've got till December 2023 to put another bid out and
Have the funds?
Have everything ready to go.
And get it going early in the
maybe have
summer.
a better shot.
Yeah.
So in other words, for us to hold the price, I have to have some
Okay, that's that too.
front money or something.
A deposit?
I know you can't get anything off the grant
Right.
till you do the project, but
Yeah.
How much you need? What we do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
the percentage of the
25%?
construction,
What's that?
percentage of the construction part of the bid, is that what you would?
Or is this the cast?
Yeah, I think we need like a engineer. Yeah, like the engineering is gotta be paid for. They have they produce shop drawings, there's a fee for that, and then they wanna secure the rebar and the other materials so that it can be built over the winter without the chance of the materials going up on them.
Okay, so the design.
So I think if you're looking at like 25% of the total project, I don't know how doable that is, but.
And that what we would be having to carry that for how long? I think that's really more of the issue for
Right,
us.
if they built the bridge over the winter, you could get going in July,
Next July,
as opposed to October.
a
Yeah.
year from this
Right.
July, yeah.
Yeah,
So but we would have to be,
So
we're carrying that cost, the cost of the deposit
80,000,
of, yeah,
about
yeah.
80,000.
Yeah, so it's really, Terry has to do some head scratching about whether we can carry that for 18 months, right? Or 16 months, whatever month we're in. Because we can't, when can we apply for those funds? Like, I don't
Well, I
think
would
we
have
can
to
get the
check
funds against
with
the
VTrans to
deposit.
see if, I don't think they'll do projects. I don't think they will. I think it's probably project complete.
So that's an open question.
so.
I mean,
Right.
I would argue you're buying materials with it and you're paying for engineering. So maybe we could try, but,
Yeah,
otherwise, that's tough for this town's budget, to have that hole in our cash for that one.
I mean, the option is to rebid it in
December or whatever, right, just the.
December.
We'll probably go, prices will go up though. more than likely.
Yeah, but, and the
I
other
guess
thing,
that, yeah, that's always,
Right.
how bad is it?
Our
Patricia?
trash specialist, but I hear you.
I mean,
well, I mean,
as
it's
far as
probably no
because of-
worse now than it was.
Wait, but
5 years ago. but
You know,
years ago.
so this
Right.
year, the ice didn't hit it, you know, nothing, the water didn't go over, well, except in the flood, but.
Yes, it did. July 29th.
So, you know, it held.
Right.
There's probably no bottom left in it at this point, if I had to guess, looking at the pictures from Irene.
You're talking Russian roulette?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not gonna, we're still not gonna get it done until next.
Right, it's
So
okay,
it's
either
almost
way.
like you're ruling out possibility of this year, and so the question comes down to whether we accept the bid with the down payment to hold the cost, or we rebid it.
Right,
Getting it done this year sounds like it's off the table.
right, so exactly, the question is, is there a mechanism by which we could hold a hole in our cash
Yeah.
of 80,000 for 16 months? I mean, that costs us money, right? We don't have the use of that
Yeah,
money.
about 10 cents, but.
Okay, all right, I don't
I
want to
mean,
overstate it, but.
We do have the option to borrow it from ourselves. I mean, we do have that money,
So how
so
much does that cost us? Not much, that's cheap.
10 cents.
Literally,
No.
adopt.
No, I'd say probably $10.
Okay,
It's
is it
not a
for
lot.
14 months? Oh.
Right now.
Can I borrow
any? Okay.
Um,
So that is an option. I mean, the other thing is if you rebid it, you may get more than the 2
Right.
Right.
bids. So,
Right, and
Be more of a competitive
And
environment.
maybe we
when you're
could
bidding
try
in
to
the
get some
early
money.
season.
maybe we could try to get some money from the state. Could you give us detail around what the money's being spent on? In other words, you could tell us what the advance is being spent on, the engineer, buying raw materials and storing them, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So we have some substance to it to tell the state, to try to get some,
With the hope of getting part of it.
getting part of the grant. No?
What was the engineering and the materials for each?
Well, the engineering and
Shop drawings and.
Alright.
shop drawings and,
Right,
And that's
if
not
we could get some
something-
if we could get some detail around that, then at least we have something to show the state. At least we have a colorable argument that we're already spending.
if that is the route that you go, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess some of the urgency of deciding now would be, we gotta get going if we're gonna finish by October. But if that's decisions off the plate, we can go.
No, I would say it's not that at all. It's
No, but
not-
that, I'm just saying that's off the plate right
That's
now.
off the plate.
So we don't have to make that decision tonight, because we're not so hard pressed
Right.
from the timing standpoint. We can get some, a little bit more information
Right.
from the grant.
Exactly, this was just a Q&A
Right.
to help us, see whether it's even feasible. I mean, I don't wanna ask for something that I know we're not gonna get, in which case, we sit tight.
I don't have the doc, but, I mean, if the state is anything like the Fed, and I think they probably
They're
work
similar.
basically
They're
the
not
same
gonna-
way,
right.
They won't.
it
no shot.
is finished construction, they come out and look. We
And then
get the
they write the
money
check.
out, we get it back,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
So then the decision is, since, Terry's confident we can borrow the money very inexpensively, actually putting a deposit down is not an inhibitor to us making a decision.
So then the
it's
decision.
whether the board feels, are we marginally in better position because we've got a locked in slot with the provider? We've got a signed contract to deposit. Does that put us in a better position than Winhall, if they called you up, in 6 months, That's presumably that puts us in a better position. But
Or the other factor is that if we go in December, is there a more competitive environment that 6 other people may come to the table, or not 6, but 3 or 4, and come forward with a bid that's better than these. So.
and not a formal vote, but we've done the work now, we know we're gonna need to do it. If it really is so little money for us to borrow against ourselves, to lock in something as key as this culvert, which we all know has to get done, and if it puts us in, we're at the head of the line for the work, I'm going in favor of that.
Is that something that, from past experience, is that?
Well, that is.
It's
the
hard to tell
estimate
year
for
to year to
6.
year, but.
Yeah, but
I'm not putting it on the spot, but it's hard to predict, but just what the environment would look like. if
Oh, you
it's-
mean which way it's going?
Well, I would only guess things are going up, but if we had 6 people bidding on it in December,
then the potential is there for it to be less.
what's the potential of a more competitive bid, because it's early in the season and people are trying to lock up their work?
Because
I would think that if everybody wasn't a year out. I mean, I don't think this is a unique position, right?
well, I do know of one other that, said that if we put the bid off, they would bid. That's only one other.
But you don't know
that I
where that
heard.
bid will come in.
I don't.
Right, nobody knows.
Right.
Nope.
Do we think the
we've worked
bid
with
is
these
high?
guys a lot,
So,
so.
sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
Do we think the bid is high?
2 bids.
The two, sorry.
It comes in where the engineer's estimate came in 6 years ago. So
I would
if
say.
you look at it that way,
That's
then
low.
no.
No, right?
What's our hesitation then?
That's low.
Yeah, what is the hesitation?
Well, I didn't realize that. I mean, that's a good point of information. So the competitive environment isn't really gonna bring it down.
Oh, I guess it was Keith and I that were talking about that after the other
Okay.
day.
And if we've got an ability to borrow money from ourselves to lock this in,
And then we pay for all that and get reimbursed?
Yeah, so we will pay for it all and get back $175,000 from the state.
Just so everybody knows.
Yep. So we're.
That's counting the 80.
And so the other thing is by not doing it this year, you can put some money into the budget for FY '24 to pay some of that between the grant and the 3, whatever that is. So that it's not just coming out of the reserve account, it's actually budgeted for, so.
Mhm.
Because this won't be finished until we start fiscal year '24. So,
Right.
so when we do the budget in November, you can say, okay, if you go with this, right, we know that, you know, there's gonna be 175.
Right, if we commit today,
Right.
we're gonna know, we can budget.
And we can
Yes.
budget at it, right?
On the other hand, if you put it out to bid and you do it in December, you still have that option.
Right.
Mhm.
Because the budget isn't finalized until the end of December, beginning of January, so.
Again, I would support what she's saying. If we have the money and if money's easily and cheap to get, then let's do it now.
Yeah,
So what's the
That's
motion?
more
What's the
concern.
motion?
You have to pick one of
I
the
mean,
bids.
we've
So we have
we've
to pick one of the
done
bids.
many projects with these guys. They're great to work with, they cause no trouble.
no pressure.
I'm gonna make a motion then to accept the bid for A.S. Clark and Sons for Pikes Falls Culvert 48
I'll second,
for $356,000.
I will second that.
With, I think we should add to the motion, the down payment
With a necessity for a down payment in order to hold
to hold the price.
the price. And
Which, and our treasurer will have the authority to borrow against.
Do you want to
So
put it not
A
to
number for
exceed?
that, 80,000?
Well, not to exceed 25% of the,
Yeah.
we have a committed bid, right? So
Well,
not to
these
exceed
guys got
25%, can we say that? The construction cost?
What's that?
That the down payment will not exceed 25% of the construction cost?
Yeah, I mean, the down payment would have to come, you know, in the next couple of months.
Okay.
That,
Yeah,
no, we're gonna
let's-
approve it
Yeah.
tonight, so
And
we
then-
just need to
Right, I
have,
understand.
For the amount,
right,
we just
you
need
know,
to-
the actual amount that we end up advancing. Are you okay if we
25%?
resolve to cap it at 25%?
25%.
Okay. So with a down payment with a cap of no more than 25% of the total cost of the bid.
Construction, yeah.
Construction.
Yeah,
Does that work? Something?
Okay,
Just do the bid, because
The
the
bid.
construction is separate on
Yeah,
there.
the
There's
bid.
3 components to it.
right, I thought, oh,
I know.
okay, so the total bid,
I know.
okay, fine,
5% of the total bid.
okay.
Okay. We got a motion.
Do you want to read it back, Sarah? Do you have it? Or
You want to read this mess?
Okay, or we could restate it again too, I think.
Paul made a motion to accept the bid from A.S. Clark and Sons for the work on Pikes Falls for, I don't have the amount, I'll get it from Terry. With a 25% cap down payment of the total bid, seconded by Jessica.
I said $356,000.
Yeah, okay. I got a bunch of dots in there.
And Culvert 48, but
Culvert.
And I said Culvert
Right,
48.
So Culvert 48, oh, Pike-
Pikes Falls Road,
right,
Culvert 48.
Culvert 48, right.
Culvert 48. Okay.
And there was seconded by Jessica, right?
Yeah.
Any further discussion on that?
No.
All in favor of accepting the bid with those contingencies, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work. You don't want to save the rest of it?
Okay, one done.
Now we go back to the beginning.
We're done.
One done.
What do you remember now?
So the, item number 4, or new 5, appoint an interim library trustee. So there is a vacancy on the library board of trustees, and Michael Connor has volunteered to fill that role through town meeting. And the library board is going to work on changing that trustee role from a 5-year to a 3-year term. It seems like there's some reluctance from probably across the board from people wanting to make a 5-year commitment to anything. So the motion is out there to appoint Michael Connor to fill the 7th Board of Trustee opening.
One second.
Any further comments? So all in favor of appointing Michael Connor to that role, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is, Any opposed?
I gotta abstain.
One abstention. So motion passes, 4 in favor, 1 abstention. One of the new items added to the list was to appoint an additional alternate to our communication union district. Currently, Chris Robbins is our representative. Jessica is one of the alternates. The bylaws of the communication union district allow us to have more than one, and we don't have one vote, but that allows us to ensure that we always have somebody represented at the meeting for votes. So Tom will read the official.
Yeah, whereas as provided by VSA Title 30, Chapter 82, Section 3059, the legislative body of each member town shall appoint annually on or before the last Monday in April a representative of one or more alternates to the governing board of communications union district, of which it is a member, each for a 1-year term to begin at the district's annual organization meeting on the second Tuesday in May. Now therefore it be resolved that the select board in the town of Jamaica hereby appoints the following representative, the following alternative, alternate to the governing board of the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District, DV Fiber, for the term of 1 year each. Ann Connor.
They're gonna take over the town, though.
Yeah. So we've already appointed Chris and Jessica, so this would just be one additional alternate. Any further discussion? I will second. Any further discussion to that? All in favor of appointing Ann Connor as an alternate to the Communication Union District, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And 1 abstention. Okay. The other 2 items, the next 2 items, were just a little bit of some clarification on some of our previous appointments and roles. I had suggested or offered at our appointment meeting that I would fill the role of road commissioner. It turns out the road commissioner is quite a lot more nuanced as far as statute goes. So it allows a board to vote to authorize an individual to make the decisions regarding the road crew and the roads. That wasn't my intent. My intent was that the board still maintains the authority to vote on those things, and that, just like many of our other roles and appointments, that I would be the liaison between the road foreman. It's quite a lot more nuanced, and that was pointed out to me by Charlie on the planning commission, and it certainly wasn't my intent to take that authority away from the remainder of the board, but that I would act as the liaison between the road crew, and that the decisions ultimately, like we all know, fall to the board.
That's what the select board handbook says. It doesn't get into the statutes, but it's a real brief. It's exactly what you just said.
Yeah. So
if you read into it deeper, my God.
So technically the board still retains.
The board would still, and I wanted to clarify.
You are just the
liaison.
You would still get the calls from the state police in the middle of
Right, all those things, right, yeah, and still work with Keith on a regular basis.
Right.
So I would like to make a motion that I would,
Well, we can discuss that. Make the motion and then we'll discuss.
I would like to make a motion that I am appointed the liaison between the road crew and the road foreman.
between
The road foreman,
Either road
that I would be the
commissioner.
You mean between the board?
No, there's no road commissioner. The board acts as the road commissioner, so I am
the liaison between the board.
the liaison at the board and the road crew, or the road foreman.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay,
So do you
so
have-
I would like to discuss.
Yes, yeah.
So, I understood the opposite, not so much hiring and firing, but I understood that we would once again, or maybe for the first time, I don't know, because I don't know the history, have a member of the board that would be authorized to do more than shuttling messages back and forth, but instead actually have the authority to meet with and help guide to the extent necessary, and to make specific proposals to the board for maybe additional staffing or whatever, you know, something, to me, I thought it was more than just, like, I'm a liaison to, and maybe I need to be doing more for Terry and Sarah, but, I don't tell them how to do, you know what I'm saying? And not that I'm asking you to tell them how to do their, but I listen, I don't know, I thought it was something a little bit more substantive, where you could actually work with, understand the role, and have substantive discussion and make, you know, formalized recommendations and on minor issues,
But it
make
would come
decisions with, you know.
Right, it would come to that, just
Right,
make recommendations.
right.
I wouldn't have the authority, as in some towns, there is a full-time road commissioner, obviously it's mostly bigger towns, where that person has full authority to make hiring decisions, make judgment calls on specific road work and things like that. Where I feel, and have been kind of, you know, recommended that still comes back to the board.
Right.
And I just am the intermediary interaction, or liaison between the road foreman and the board.
I think, I guess, knowing how complex that job is, and that with the work that's done by the foreman and the road crew, I thought that, you know, there's a big swath of activities between hiring and decisions, between hiring and firing, and pure liaison, in my mind, you know?
Right.
I would have thought, considering hopefully, what will become a much deeper familiarity, that Keith could come to you and say, on something shy of hiring and firing, do you think I should be putting the emphasis here or there? I guess I thought that, to me, I'm comfortable with you taking on that role and then coming to the board, because the board only meets every 2 weeks, right? And something could happen in it.
Sure.
You know.
Don't need to have everything back.
Right, I mean.
But again, a liaison back to the board is.
Right.
The statute as road commissioner says that's what you do. What you guys are talking about is right here.
As the road commissioner.
All of what Jessica was just talking about.
Okay.
It comes through the road commissioner. I mean, I want to read the whole thing, but.
Right, that's what I thought. I didn't think it was just simply.
It says, you know, for the first
The
thing,
recommendation too would
it
be that
says, just for instance, it says it shall be the duty and responsibility of the select board of the town, you know, him being road commissioner if that was it, or acting as a board, it shall have the authority to see that, one, the town highways and bridges are properly laid out, constructed, maintained, altered, widened, vacated, all this road stuff. To take any consistent with provisions of law,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But this,
like it says in the manual.
right, but this, my understanding, and it is complicated, is that this role is somebody outside of the board. And we.
That's actually the responsibility of the board, what he's just writing.
Right.
Yes.
And so
But-
that, I'm not really changing any of that role. Me as a board member, still, it's
The board can
just.
delegate to a road commissioner, which can be a member of the board,
That's the
ideally.
question, but.
Yes, absolutely.
can be.
It can be.
Okay.
In fact, I would say
Is it
it's
It's
not
just-
the size of
No, not that I don't want to be, it was just
Right.
suggested that it becomes more complicated. And I'm not saying anything about the way it was in the past, because it has been on the board before. And there hasn't been we haven't had a standalone road commissioner, there hasn't been,
For a year.
our town
And
is small.
it was a temporary one before that.
Yeah.
Well,
So I'm happy to not change it, I guess. I mean, I just was getting recommendations
Right.
from Charlie, and who delves into these things, that's
Right,
the
right.
recommendations of the
Great.
planning commission. I see my role as being a liaison, but I also see that there's gonna be some times where there's gonna be immediate decisions. I mean,
what do you
May-
want? Do you want to be, there's additional
Want to be
roles, or you just want to be the
I'd
liaison?
rather be the liaison and still pull back and have
Okay.
And that's the motion that's on the table.
act as more of the decision-making. And I don't believe, let's say we're gonna replace culvert A or culvert B, that's not the road commissioner's decision, that's the road foreman's decision to prioritize those things. And then that I report back to the board to say, road crew is working on A, B, and C, that type of thing. They're gonna undertake some training, they're gonna do this road work this year, this is the priorities, they're gonna pave here, they're gonna replace this and that and other thing.
But, okay, you can't be a road commissioner and do that? Like assume the duties of the road commissioner and be that? Isn't that, don't you sort of absorb that anyway? And
I would have thought it
and then
would
it falls on us?
Right, well, I would have, right,
Like if
I
you
assumed
need-
it was listening to all of that, discussing it with the road foreman, weighing in and, you know, saying, I think.
Whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah, this is very.
I could be reading the wrong
nuanced.
thing.
It's difficult to read and get an understanding. And the intent, I guess, was that I wasn't, you know, in suggesting that it wasn't relieving the board of the
No, it
responsibility.
says that.
And
You
it wasn't
can't,
that
by
I.
statute, you can't. The
No.
board, it resides with the board.
That's what I was
Right, so
reading.
therefore, but the board could authorize you, Susie Q or Jim, whatever, to be the road commissioner, and we could relinquish ourselves of that, other than this is our employee.
I wouldn't call it relinquish. There's a
Right.
specific word, it's delegate.
Delegate,
And
right.
you don't lose, the board does not lose any responsibility.
Nor do we
to-
with
to-
any other staff
Right,
member.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But you know, and you report to us, so to speak. You report to yourself and to the
Right.
rest of the board in a way. But,
Sounds like
I mean,
we're-
I think
we're
that if it's not.
skinning a cat 6 different ways.
Right, on the other hand,
Yeah.
I'm with Tom, if you're more comfortable with a role which
And
is,
honestly,
more
I didn't even
liaison?
think about it until it was suggested to me
Right.
that this was not probably the best way to go about it. I'm gonna table this discussion if that's okay with people and.
Well, there's a
give
motion on
little
the
bit
table.
more.
You can't table if there's a motion. We have
we have
to
to,
resolve that.
So, okay, we
I can
can.
withdraw my motion if you'd like.
No, we can vote on it and you can all vote it down.
You can't motion, I can't table that?
Not if it's a motion on the table,
No,
because I made a motion.
You made a motion or Greg did?
I seconded it.
but it was seconded.
It's
so-
on the motion on the
Motion's on the
table.
table.
Yeah, but
You can't
after it's
table.
been in discussion, then can't
You
you
have to-
table it?
it has to go back.
If there's no more,
Right.
vote on any further discussion, and then if there's none, it can be tabled without a vote. I thought.
I don't know, I don't think so.
I believe we can vote it down.
it's a little clearer to vote it down and
To
then
vote
to
it
make a
down and
separate
then
motion
start over next
to raise it at the next
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
and continue. We could also have executive session if you want, if there's
If it's
something.
voted
No,
down, it's
I
fine.
think so. So I'm gonna go on the fact that, I mean, let's get it off the table, and, or so to speak. And, all in favor of changing the title of my role from road commissioner to liaison, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
No,
No. Motion failed. So I still have that title of road commissioner, and I will work to,
Convince your brethren.
I will work to define it a little bit better and see what the best course of action is.
and that can be brought up anytime in any future meeting. It doesn't,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
table, it's off the table. It's like,
We're starting afresh, it's a
we
no.
never even got tabled.
But a really good conversation, thank you.
Yep, and thank you. Yep, and just on a side note, things are going well, and we have a very good rapport with Keith and doing ride-arounds on the street and all these other things that, I think necessary, so.
That's why we voted it down.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Running around all day?
No, right, exactly. All right, so let's see, another point of clarity that came up, and this one should be much easier to explain. At a previous meeting, when I had given an update on the Community Septic Committee, and that we had our first meeting, the conversation, I think there was a question of whether Chrissy was on the committee. Chrissy is technically not on the committee. She is the representative from the engineering firm. So I think that I may have said it, and there was a question then of whether she's on the committee, and whether that was a conflict of interest. Obviously, it's not. She's representing her firm. So on the committee is Brian Zeroff, Patrick McClellan, Jason Cass, and myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there was 5, but anyway. So the committee, that is the committee. And we're hoping to hear back from the engineers sometime later this month, I believe. I think it's later May. But we'll keep you up to date on that. Okay. we're on, approve the town road and bridge standards. Item number 9 or form or 9. This is something that the town does on an annual basis. This is setting our commitment to maintain our roads to the standards set by the state. The one thing that's slightly different than this year is that we are saying yes to every single one of these. I think in the past there may have been one of these that we weren't necessarily going to maintain the perennial stream. Those are the ones that don't flow all the time. But seeing in the nature of things, we're going to commit that we meet all these standards. I think it's a good thing for the town. I think it's a good thing for our roads.
We need to do that for the Orange Book for slime, right? To receive future,
Yeah, to get more reimbursement in the ERAF.
we need to be in compliance.
We need to do what we can, and that's another.
We called that book the Orange Book. I
It
can't
is,
remember.
I still call
Is
it.
that the real
Even
name?
though there's no orange book anymore, I don't think, it's all online.
I never knew
right?
the real title, it's just this book.
That is.
So do we need a motion of
We
this?
do need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the town and road bridge standards for 2022.
It's just what was you put in the drive, right? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's certification.
Second, that.
Yeah, that we have
I
to
think
sign.
Kate had a
Okay.
second.
That's it.
Yep.
Oh,
I didn't hear.
So, all in favor, or any further discussion? All in favor of approving the town road and bridge standards, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's unanimous, thank you.
but I think that is .9, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So did we skip?
so
Let's
we're
get
skipping the
seven.
road reclassification plan?
Yeah, I missed that one, sorry.
Okay.
Well, good, we got an easy one then. Okay. So,
I got
the review, this is, the planning commission has proposed, several roads that they recommend should be reclassified. This is not the decision we're making tonight. There needs to be a hearing, all kinds of other things. The adjacent landowners need to be updated. There's a very detailed process. So our discussion and decision tonight is whether to move forward with the plan to reclassify these. We can go through each one of them step by step. We don't have to necessarily recommend exactly what they suggest, but there has been some fairly detailed information provided on these and a number of different reasons why we want to propose or suggest that they are reclassified. Does anybody want to go through each of the roads again?
Yeah, who's, I know, Tom, you were talking about going around, and I
went to a few
haven't
of
yet.
them,
Who's
but-
gone, I'm sure Greg has, probably. Have you gone to look at the ones that are noted
have.
on the map?
I have gone to all of these.
You have?
I'm not, one of them, I haven't been up on Turkey Mountain Road this summer.
Well, that's the one
But
I've been to.
I have been up there.
That's rough.
Right. And the intent on these is there's several different categories. One, there's some roads that were suggested, or not suggested, but put on the table for discussion, where the planning commission is suggesting that there be no change.
Right.
There's a number of reasons for that. They have residents on them, they're already classified in the correct manner. There are a couple roads out there that are not correctly classified as they are now, based for the current maintenance that's done on those roads. One of them would be Hollow Road, which is currently classified as a Class 3 road. It's a very short stub of a road up near Dalewood. Class 3 basically, I mean, there's a lot of definition, but Class 3 basically says you maintain it summer and winter. This road has trees growing in it. It's beyond maintained. It hasn't been maintained for 20 years or so. So the suggestion there would be to reclassify it to a legal trail with the overriding decision or whatever is that we don't want to give up anything or right-of-ways or public access. The other road that was just recently added would be Henderson Road, which is over in East Jamaica. This road is currently classified as a Class 3. It has not been maintained for 20 years or so either. It's not been plowed there occasionally has done some ditch work and whatnot, but that would be more in line with the class 4.
Is that was not on the map,
That was a new
Well,
addition.
this is an older map, so.
So Henderson Road, if anyone's,
There's not 2 houses on there?
I know, I'm like,
well, it's a section of Henderson Road.
Oh,
So Henderson Road, not that anybody on TV can see it. So Henderson Road comes up from Woburn 100, and then Teacher Road bears off.
the teacher, I've been on that.
So there are residents on the
I see teacher.
Yeah, there it is.
first section of Henderson Road has residents on it, and so does Teacher Road. So the portion in question is from the intersection of Teacher over to the intersection of Howard Road.
Yeah.
That section is very passable in a ATV, mountain bike, even a 4-wheel drive truck. But it hasn't been plowed in years.
Right, it's not plowed.
So it's currently classified as a class 3 road.
And it should be 4.
It should be 4.
Right.
Just, I mean, again, we're not changing other than, well, we are changing, or we're proposing we change, but it's more of getting it in line
We're
with.
correcting.
with the-
Yeah.
We're correcting it. And I don't, I mean, just for the record, I'll go through the rest of them. There are several roads that are suggested to discontinue. One of them is Blake Road, which is also, I believe, categorized right now as a class 3. It's not maintained at all.
Oh, it is, Blake is class 3.
It enters into the national forest and is bordered on both sides by the national forest. So that suggestion would be to discontinue that, which would mean that the national forest would become the owner, so to speak. The main thing is that, I think the main thing that the planning commission was worried about is that we don't give up public access. So if it is a national forest road, it would still maintain its public access. There is a segment of Turkey Mountain Road that is currently also classified as class 3. The town ends their plowing at that
All the way
last
to the top, it's
resident.
almost all the way to Wyndham.
Yeah, so,
And next, yep.
It's even farther up than that.
yeah, so the town turns around at the last resident. So there's a section in here that's classified as class 3, which is
Yeah.
not plowed, should be
Yeah.
class 4.
All the way up to Wyndham Road. You see all the way up?
Well, this is classified as a town trail. There's 2
Huh?
portions of this.
Yeah.
Parts of it is a town trail? I
Yeah.
thought,
The portion that says town trail.
It ends, there was a house up there burned down many years ago.
oh, okay.
And then,
They actually deconstructed it, Nature Conservancy.
Nature Conservancy owns the property. And then the Nature Conservancy has donated the property to the state park.
okay.
So it's currently owned by the state of Vermont. And so the proposal would be from the section where the state lands begin, it would be discontinued, both the trail and the portion of the road. And again, this is all just, we're not making the decision tonight, this is just, I'm hopefully clarifying. And that we're then, say, we're comfortable with moving forward, and then open up the hearing. So
We can't, like, say, okay to 1, 2, and 3,
we could,
or what does the board think of that, like Hollow Road? The second road, you said I can't read my own writing, Henderson Road. And then like Blake Road, I got a question mark, why do we want to throw that, and get rid of that? But, you know, can we pick off Hollow Road and Henderson Road? Does that make any sense, or do we
we certainly
decide-
could.
Or do we talk about the whole thing again the next time?
No, well, we could separate them and proceed on 2 independent paths. Each one of these has to be a separate hearing. Yeah, I think from what the recommendation was is that Blake Road is currently not maintained, and that if the Forest Service owned it, they would maintain it, but that's
Are there-
a leap of faith.
I went up there a
Are
couple
there-
years ago and it was, it's-
Are there 4-wheelers and stuff coming out of there, in and out of there? Is that the road?
Yeah.
Blake Road goes off of Pikes Falls Road, or no, East Jamaica Road, West Jamaica Road.
West Jamaica.
Is that a problem though, on Blake Road?
I guess the planning commission has done a lot of work on each of these. I think we have a meeting where we have a representative of the planning commission saying, these are our recommendations and why.
Right.
We're having our discussion, this is helpful to me. I'm now gonna go look, we all have the recommendations document. And then we have a formal meeting where we're gonna actually make a decision on each of them, what we're gonna recommend for a hearing, right? Or, did I have that wrong?
No, we can separate that my thinking was that this was the formal meeting of whether to proceed with each one of these roads. We can
okay.
we can proceed with the recommendation or
Because I saw
proceed
set
with-
next steps, I didn't think that that was like we were gonna vote.
Yeah, so the next,
Okay.
I will read, and again, the planning commission's been helpful with me to,
Well,
they have, at least, thought I had a list of how they've outlined it. So they've said, determine if the select board majority support a warning for a public hearing to hear testimony from legally interested parties and the general public on a proposed reclassification or discontinuance of roads and legal trails as recommended by the Jamaica Planning Commission. Note that this is a decision about which roads, trail segments the select board agrees should be considered for change and what proposed change to be warned. The actual decision to change a classification or discontinue a road or trail is made after the public hearing.
hearing, all right.
So,
And then the next step would be to let all the parties know, and then we schedule the hearing.
Yeah.
so if we're not making decisions, why wouldn't we have a
Adopt
hearing
the
to go through all of them
Right.
that they're recommending? I don't
Right.
see a problem with that.
To pursue all the
Right,
ones
right.
that are
I mean,
recommended
that's what
by
I
the
would
planning
think would be
commission.
Because then we also open up the public decision, it's not the
Right, then we're not,
select board, we can get the state park in here, we can get all the other.
it's more
adjacent
inclusive to
landowners.
do it that way.
Yes, and it seems like I've heard all of this already once,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
So,
Yeah, I agree.
I will make a motion to accept, or to proceed forward with the recommendations of the
Can't really.
planning commission to
Right.
have a hearing on road changes
As recommended.
as recommended
By the Jamaica
by
Planning
the
Commission.
commission. However I said that.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Did
you say
can I
once
ask you a
already?
question?
So discussion.
Is this like is this an opportunity to nip some of this in the bud by the board? Or what would it be if you acted on one or two or said, no, we don't want to do that with one road? I don't really understand.
Right, so that was what I was hearing too, is that there was some concern that this was the, I hate to use the word correct, but that this proposal, this recommendation was something we wanted to move forward with. I was hearing, maybe it was from me and
Well-
Andy, but whether or not the rest of the
If we
people
disagree with some of this, is it
feel
too
that
late?
we want to move forward with all
Well,
of
then we'd
them.
have to vote on it, and you could vote no.
We could
and then
change-
it
we
pass,
could
and we could do
vote
it again.
down.
My take on it is, why do we want to exclude the public
No, I don't want to.
Right,
from, should we say, oh, well, Lake Road, we don't take that one out, you know, I think it's a good thing to have all that in there and discuss all that.
Right.
With the general public in hearings, so that we can get different ideas and different perspectives. And then from the hearings, that's when we make the decision if we want to move forward. We're not lumping everything together by
right, no, we
moving all this
can't
forward.
decide one thing, we have to decide each road very
Correct,
individually.
so at this point, if we take some out and then later we want to go back, it just seems like it's making it more complex than it needs to be.
Mhm.
That's my take on it, so.
Date?
Yep, I agree with Tom.
It's just a procedural thing. I was like, when we get to that point, does the public
The public can
sort it out?
it's still our decision, but the
Okay,
public
that's what I'm
can,
asking.
right,
Right.
the public can add more
Right.
information to say, you know
Or
what?
legal entities.
I have-
Oh, there's one road I have a problem with, but we can talk about that later.
Somebody could say, I use
Right.
that to drive my four-wheeler up there to go hunting, and if the state owned it, I wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
Okay,
That's fine.
So we
Right.
could
That's a
then hear all that
discussion.
and say yes or no, yeah. And I just felt, personally, leading the board, that I wanted to make sure that we really had a good understanding of this and that we move forward
okay.
on,
Right, I think before the hearing, I know I'm gonna read it
No,
again.
I mean, and that's what I keep saying too, it's no urgency, and that, what I mean by that is that we really want to make sure that we do this right. There is some urgency in the sense that some of these roads aren't classified correctly, so they're being misrepresented to the state. There are some roads that have the potential, if it's categorized as a class 3, and we're not maintaining it, and someone purchases a property there, and they now say, well, you should be plowing it. And now we're forced to plow something that we really don't think we should or need to. So there is that sense of urgency.
Yeah, also summer use by people on some of these roads.
Right, so the summer road use would still be maintained through a class 4. We'd still have to maintain the road, properly ditch it, and put culverts over it. It basically boils down to whether it's plowed or not in the wintertime, but if someone puts a house and says, this is your town road and you guys are legally required to plow it, then we're screwed.
Or to put culverts in it, or, you know, drain it, you know?
Yeah,
How
so
do
that's the urgency.
So when do we have to set the hearing? Do we set that now? Or?
No, we don't set that now.
Does
There's
the
a
planning
whole
commission set
process
that?
of notification,
Okay.
and I can even read the next thing. The next thing is prepare a list of parties to whom legal notice must be mailed 30 days prior to hearing date.
Okay.
To complete the task, we need to know the exact list of, prepare an outline of a legal notice, which needs to be run by our attorneys. And it needs to be published and posted, and there's all kinds of posting requirements and things like that. We're still talking a couple months, a 30-day notice and a 15-day posting period and those types of things.
Right, but we could set in the next meeting or 2 meetings
Yeah,
to approve
so
a form of notice.
the next step for me would to go back and to say to the planning commission, because they're gonna take they're gonna do the work, with Sarah too, to pull out these people, these butters, and get the notification out there. Once all that's done and we get work, they're gonna draft a legal notice that will run by the attorney, so, yeah.
Motion on the table.
Oh, motion on the table. I'm sorry, did you have a comment? I'll open it just
On
for,
any of them, I wasn't clear on the last one on Turkey Mountain Road. Are we restricting public use on any of them?
no.
Okay.
No, there is some question though whether because it is in a natural area, this would be something that we need to flesh out and hear from the state. They've said in a letter that because it's in a natural area, generally it's much more limited of usage, horseback riding, mountain biking, things like that, even non-motorized. So they have said that this would become they had a term for it, but basically like a park road, like if you're driving through the campground, and that you can, wouldn't be any motorized vehicle access, but you can still ride your bike and go horseback riding and things like that.
There may be
It would be
places
gated.
with railway TVs.
The real upside of that portion is that road takes a lot of abuse and it would be gated. So we would, there would be some concerns for people who are currently going through the gate and riding their four-wheelers and
And we
things
would
like that.
be responsible to enforce any nonsense or laws being broken up there.
Well, but it would fall, if it's state, it's their responsibility their rangers would patrol it.
Yeah, it's not town
Yeah,
of
but,
Jamaica.
okay, no, I thought there was another road that the
Again-
sheriff's department.
Oh,
It would be-
if we do just Penta Road.
Later.
And we put a
Oh,
gate
oh.
on it, the gate's unlocked, still allows for access, but if there's any shenanigans, then
And
it's,
that's on
I
us.
think this is discussion for the hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh, I'm explaining the process.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not saying one road or the other, yeah, sorry. Okay, so motion's on the table to move forward with the suggestions of the planning commission, or I paraphrased it, but the motion was out there. You got the motion? Okay, sorry. And it was seconded. All in favor of supporting this initiative to vote for it? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. So motion passes. We will move forward with working with the planning commission to assist us in this process. Okay, thank you. That's good discussion, I think. And I think in the long run, we don't have to pick on any road, but at least we get things clarified. Okay, back to our original scheduled program. Item number 10, certification of the annual town highway financial plan with VTrans. This one kind of coincides with the road standards. This is basically us as a town saying that we budgeted the appropriate amount of money to maintain the roads based on our number of miles for each class. So this is something, I don't think, does it need a motion or just needs
No, I
signature?
No, we
It's
just
just
have to
business.
sign
It's
it.
just business,
All of us.
okay.
There's one.
So it's on there, but I think it was well worthwhile because it's all related. There is a change order, and I'll probably defer back to you to clarify this a little bit. This is for Bridge 29, which is one of the bridges on West Jamaica Road that sustained some damage last summer. There was quite a lot more material needed to get it back into its position with riprap along the shore. And there was a portion of material that was needed downstream from the bridge. We were kind of waiting to see the definition, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were waiting from FEMA to see whether or not this would be compensated. The vendor had said that he would work with us if it wasn't compensated, so that's part of the reason for the delay in this. So this has been settled, so to speak, I don't know if that's the right term. FEMA has agreed that portion of the work done was necessary, and since that time also, we've learned that FEMA is paying for 90%. So,
Excellent.
Including the 78. So,
The
yes.
extra,
Okay,
right?
that's what I thought. Then when I looked at it, I was like,
Well, yeah, so when this all happened, I didn't know whether FEMA was gonna cover it, because it was on the downstream side, and Irene, they did not cover it down on the downstream side. So he was there, it really needed it under the bridge and on the downstream side, and I just kind of said, go ahead, I'll ask FEMA. I didn't have any idea that it was gonna take this long to get an answer. I should have known, but I didn't. So when I met with him last Wednesday, the public assistance coordinator was here as well, and he said yes, as long as it was within the right of way on the downstream side, it would be covered. So
90%.
yes,
With the 80,000, with the 78,000.
yes. So out of the 243 total, we'll pay 24.
Awesome.
No, we won't even pay 24, we'll pay 12, because the state is I believe 5%.
5%. I'm happy to sign that change form.
Right.
so is this another
That's amazing.
course of
Thank you,
business, or is this something we need to vote on?
I would vote, just because
I'll make-
I am
I'll
going
make
to
a
have
motion.
these minutes
That's-
to FEMA.
Do you want me to, oh, okay.
I'll make a motion
That's
to
the invoice.
accept the change order, for additional 450 CY of riprap needed to complete the project for Bridge 29 under bridge and downstream
In the amount of.
of $78,750. On top of the original contract price of $94,500, the contract price due to this change order will be increased to $148,750. And the new adjusted contract price is $243,250.
This contract. You did? I second that motion.
500.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the change order, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Did you hear about it?
Thank you, FEMA.
Yes.
I don't know what she did to get all that
I
money.
think he just
but-
put us through it.
Well, we can go through it.
Yeah, I wrote it over from Terry, so.
Unbelievable.
Just watch the film.
Okay, so next item to sign the Rescue Inc. contract. Something that comes across our table every year. And
Do we need a motion?
Is it gone up or it's pretty much keeping it?
A little bit, not much.
Not much.
It's
So
a
pretty
3-year
good.
contract.
Yeah, so 30 cents a year?
It's a
Okay.
3-year contract. So.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
we
great.
have to make a
Those
motion.
guys do well.
I
Yes.
think so.
I'll make a motion that the Jamaica Select Board approve of and execute the new contract with Rescuing for 3 years at a price of
what's an annual cost?
Year one.
annual cost of,
There's that.
The first year is $29,647.50, rising up to the second year of $29,949, and the third year of $30,250.50.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, you can add on.
Yep.
Yep.
yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the Rescue Inc. contract, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
I should have, okay, never mind.
And it is, I mean, they obviously have some challenges, I guess, going
Yes.
forward. There is a public, I believe it's a public meeting, or it's a Board of Trustees meeting scheduled for Thursday, May 19th at 6:30 in Brattleboro. They've asked one of us to attend.
That's what I wanted to speak to, is that okay to talk about that right now, even though we're
For-
done with the contract?
For certain, I think so, yeah, because it's not really good.
I believe we should be paying attention to what's going on with rescue in general. We have a very good on-the-ball representative, Stuart Parker, and I had quite a chat with him the other night about rescue, and I told him that if there were any meetings that he thought that we should be in on, and then this popped up, is anyone interested in going to that meeting on the board?
I can say I would be interested just because I think somebody should go, but I don't have my schedule with me to know if I can.
Well,
When
could
is it, Ann? I'm sorry, Ann.
It's,
When is it?
It's Thursday, May 19th at 6:30
At rescue.
at their station in Brattleboro.
I'll be in Chicago. Sorry.
I could say I'm very interested in going, but I'd rather tell you after the meeting what is going on with me that day.
Okay.
I don't know if
But
after
you
I
don't
go
need-
through that, I
you
don't know if I
obviously-
could make it there till at 6:30. Every 6 months I have this thing I have to do.
Okay. I think, I mean, as long as we all
Somebody
realize
knows.
this is important, we don't necessarily have to say who it is right now.
All
And
right. We have another
myself-
meeting that Monday. I guess could we
Sure.
discuss it
We
again
can
on
bring
the
it up
16th?
again.
No, the 23rd, then.
Oh, the
Right, 'cause we
23rd.
can't be down here.
Right. What am I saying? That's next week.
When's
Yeah.
the meeting in the day or at
It's
night?
at 6:30 at night.
Yeah, it's a week.
If no one else can go, I can go.
And I'm the same way.
Can we
So
zoom it?
Tom and
Can
I,
it Zoom?
They are just asking for, I think it's in person, but
it's in in-person.
and they're asking for one member, so it's probably
Yeah.
gonna be crowded. I've been to their town meetings down here, and they're pretty informative.
Let me know if I
We're
need
just
to
gonna
go.
be with
So
my
you
son
have
in
to
Chicago.
figure out.
We'll figure it out. We're gonna work out.
One of us will.
If one of you can't, I
Yeah,
will,
that's fine.
if I can.
Yeah,
I'll
I
tell you
mean,
why.
I work in
Okay.
Range that day, so I can
Yeah.
definitely swing back to Brattleboro just a little bit. Because I'll be in Brattleboro at 5:30.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So,
makes sense.
makes sense.
And Stuart thanks us for reappointing him.
Okay.
Just assumed he was, and like I said, I can just tell you, we have a good person representing our interests in rescue.
Super. That's good to hear.
Enthusiastic
We know,
person.
yeah, exactly. Right, yep. So, next item we've added to review the cemetery bids. When we put this out, this is for the mowing of the town cemeteries, when we put this out to bid in the spring, we had no bids that came through, and Terry's been kind of just pounding the pavement, trying to rustle up somebody who may be interested. Just coincidentally, someone stepped forward today, and so we do have a bid to mow the town cemeteries from Will Mowry. It is for the total amount of $6,290. It is approximately $780 more than last year's
Yeah, I
bid.
was gonna say, it did increase, but fuel costs have increased as well.
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's.
It is the exact same definition of how many times mowing and spring cleanup and things like that.
It's insane.
The one item that's in here is there is an additional kind of floater of 6 hours for any additional cleanups or things like that. So the definition of what the work to be done is what we've done in the past. And my gut feel too is $700 is pretty nominal as far as any increase.
Absolutely.
All right, so I will make a motion to accept the cemetery mowing bill from Will Mowry for the amount of $6,290.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just wondered why DEP did not re-up.
Because they're taking some time off. No.
Because they're not in business.
Yeah, they're putting it in bed.
anymore.
Yeah, so their business has kind of
And they
broken up a
didn't,
little bit.
Drew can't do it.
they
when
didn't
he's in
submit a
Montana.
bid.
It's a little hard to
Yeah, so there was no previous bids submitted, so it had nothing to do with us, it was just that their business operations changed.
That's correct.
Got it, thank you.
Did you want to add anything, or?
Yes, what was it I was going to say? There's a couple of cemeteries that might need an additional mowing. Last year we had a lot of rain,
Right.
And there were a few complaints that things were looking a little shaggy, especially in the South Wyndham Cemetery and the East Jamaica Cemetery. So, I don't know. If we have a summer like we did last year with a lot of rain, we probably should use another mowing or two. If we don't, then it's probably fine.
Well, there are this bid includes 6 hours extra
Yeah,
that we
there
can
is-
use as we see
Yeah.
fit, so.
There is an additional 6 hours,
Right.
that might be absolutely
Yeah,
perfect,
so
to say
you
this
just
one
need
needs
to-
more.
And is the
Right.
6 hours for cleanup around the cemetery?
That's
Is
what it
that
says.
what
It
that is?
said for additional cleanup, but we could probably direct them to say,
Okay.
you know, if it needs an additional mowing.
Right.
And
We could ask.
we'll rely on the interaction between the cemetery sections for feedback, I guess, so is that?
We also have the per mowing price, so just come to the board and say,
Okay.
we need an extra mowing, and then we authorize an extra mowing.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Because that 6 hours is needed for clearing brush and trees around
okay.
the
There is spring,
outside.
All right.
yeah. Because there is spring cleanup, but I know the difference.
Right,
There's,
yes, I hear you.
there's raking and then there's cutting and whatever, yeah.
But
Okay.
he does break it down that way, so we can easily authorize an additional mowing per cemetery, depending on which one you need.
And
So
hopefully
just
an excellent job.
Pipe up, don't, you know what I mean? If you're
Okay.
getting those comments, bring them to the board, we'll authorize it.
Okay, so motion is on the table to accept the bid for $6,290. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, it's unanimous. Then you'll get back to Will? All right, perfect. I'm excited that we have one less worried. Kate, did you want to add anything more on the swap shop with Greg? I mean, that's wonderful that he's stepped up.
No, I just wanted to, I guess, publicly thank him for doing this, and just bring it to the board's attention.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yes, thank him very much, and when I see him too.
Did we want someone to do that?
Yeah, we need someone to do that.
Yeah,
gets
it
really,
gets a
really
little
messy
shaggy in there.
And it's just crazy. You know, people throwing
People
clothes in
drop
there.
off and-
People
Yeah,
just drop off whatever, they throw it in there and you can barely walk in there and it's a mess, yeah.
And
So
you
having
almost
someone
need
go in there
you need a
weekly
person at
would
the
be
door
very advantageous.
all the time to keep it.
Yes, and it's not a mess now, as of yesterday, he really did a nice job.
Right, yeah,
Well, somebody told me it looked nice in there,
yeah,
just recently,
Yep.
perfect.
like today.
So,
Something for the transfer station, can I ask it now, since we're?
sure.
Yeah, are we public concerns?
Well, no, yeah, Andy's got something, but let's stick on the transfer station just where Terry's got something to add. to-
So, I got a call from Rich Sanborn, and he will come and take the Freon out of the refrigerator, so that we can then put them in the metal container. But he charges $20, I think, a piece. So that's what we charge people to get rid of them.
Right.
So the money we make is gonna be on the metal, but,
And what
That's what
was,
it costs.
It's a lot.
what was the other company charging? I can't remember.
well, we've never done it this way.
No, but the one out of, when
Oh,
we shipped
I
it
think it
away.
was $20 to take it, maybe it was 15, but it was getting to the, close to the cost of what we were
Yeah, yeah.
charging,
Right.
so.
I think one upside to this is that there's less moving them around and we also have the ability to make money on the metal side. Dan has talked to the metal people about using one of those open containers that's up there, one of those non-used containers that we will, I'm gonna work with Keith and whatnot to get the appliances in there, the non-Freon ones, and then if we can get the Freon cleaned up, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think he said he would be able to be out this weekend to get it done if we, I just said I had to check because the cost was the same as what.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's our cost of business, and we don't really need to have a
That's
vote
not
on
a
that.
motion or anything.
No, I don't think so, but that's good to know. And we can always, if it seems to get out of hand, we can always vote to change that rate on the,
On another note, there seems to be a lot of, I mean, not only appliances, but the tire thing is really.
tires have changed also, so tire, just as an update since we're on the transfer station. Tires, the previous vendor had stopped coming to get it, and it wasn't just us, it was all towns in
Oh,
the
okay.
district. So Wyndham Solid Waste, had set up a, I don't know what like a consolidation facility, so that we just need to get the tires down there. They then have tractor trailer trucks with grappling hooks and all that stuff to come in there. So we raised our fees to match that. It was something that Keith is aware of, but it was it wasn't on the list of things to do, so to speak, during plowing season and whatnot. So it is back on the list of
It
things to do.
So this is gonna put in a dump truck and drive it?
This would be, put
Yes,
them in a dump
yes.
truck, 1 or 2
Someone from
trips
Oxford.
down there,
Yeah.
and,
Just curious, that's all, I noticed it was over.
yeah, and then we pay Wyndham's Regional, not Wyndham Regional, Wyndham Solid Waste, we pay by the ton.
Yeah, what is it?
I can't remember
I came up
what the
with
rate
the
is,
last
it's
meeting.
$90 a ton, I think, if I remember, but it's offset by the number, how much a tire weighs. I looked at all that, but.
Right, right.
So I did have a discussion with Dan, I mean, about this, and he mentioned the tires again, and I had a conversation with Keith and totally forgot. So I will mention it to him again tomorrow.
Yeah,
So.
and it's on my list
that's
of
something
mentioning
to-
too, yeah.
And the only other thing is the fee sign up there needs to come down.
It's wrong.
It's wrong,
Right, right.
and they're still sometimes charging the old price.
Yeah. What can we get a sign made?
Well, I'll go up and look and see if we can get it down. We may just be able to paint over it or something.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what's up there. But.
Yeah, if we could talk to a vendor and say,
Okay.
that's been something that we need to do. If we, however they can get it done the best way, I guess, whether it's
Yeah.
repainted or start over, I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
don't know, I prefer not to have a hand-painted sign, but if that's what we're gonna do, I could do it next weekend.
But it could be that one of the sign people in town, not in town, but one of the official sign people just take it down and re-stencil it and then go put it back up just like we're doing with the town sign. I mean, the town sign's
Oh,
getting.
yeah, but the town sign, we're having someone.
We're having to redo it, but they can also
re.
re-stencil an existing sign.
Right. Sure,
We're
I'm
not
not,
having, I mean, we have plenty of paper to hand off the.
we're just hand them out and just put it,
You know, and
and
it's not have.
laminate one
That too.
and have handouts.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
Take the sign down? For, at least for starters, let's take the
Well, I
sign
can
down.
ask Patrick to come with me with his,
Yep,
Well,
we'll take the sign down and then it
take
forces
it down.
everybody to
Yeah.
ask, how much is this?
yeah.
And there's no-
Yeah, but let's
okay.
first make something that I can have laminated. Okay, cool. And I have one other addition on the
Okay.
transfer station.
Okay, sorry.
So Sarah forwarded an email from someone who is interested in, work at the transfer station. We don't have a formal alternate. So I'm just letting you know I'm gonna
Yeah,
have.
Bill has actually been filling in and alternating a
Yes.
couple days a week.
Because it's warm out and he doesn't have to be
Yeah.
inside that building, so,
Yeah, and Dan has said that he is intending to retire this fall.
right. So
and
just
so
someone,
we
just
need
let you
to
know,
start the
someone I'm
process
gonna
of-
talk to and maybe,
Perfect.
he'll come in and work some days, so. we'll see.
Perfect, yeah.
Just, yeah. Oh, yeah, Kate's aware of it. So Kate, I thought I would have a phone call with him first, and then if we wanna meet him here.
Sure.
And then if we wanna meet with him, which you and I did last time, you and I could meet with him in person, okay? But I thought, I'll have a quick phone call first.
Okay.
Excellent.
And then I do have something else, but.
Okay, well,
That's the public.
so Andy, do you have an update then on?
Yeah, I just need
Oh, the bridge.
your permission to submit a request to Wyndham Regional to put bridge, what turns out to be Bridge 24. The badge says, the badge is wrong on the bridge. On Depot and Water Street.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Colin Bratton, the Transportation Committee guy down in Wyndham Regional said, he sent me an email, it disappeared, but some of the criteria is it near a school? Is it close to the village? Is it falling apart?
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
And then, so all I have to do
Hey,
is
look at that.
maybe I have to send an email, maybe somebody can help me. I'll send the bridge report, which is pretty gruesome here.
Yes.
It was inspected last year. Colin said, send that along, tell how we meet the criteria, and they'll submit it to the
Okay.
list.
Good.
Perfect, yeah, so this is
And
just.
they, just so they, like Wyndham Regional has like 20% pull with VTrans, like they get a 20% here, or
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see if they can push it a
They have
little
that
bit.
Hand on the scale.
yeah, and all of the Wyndham Regional Commission meetings I've been to, there's a lady there from VTrans to, she's always there, so.
Great.
It was on the list a long time ago, and so it's in rough shape. If
Yeah.
you wanna look at the report, it's on
Or not.
V-Transparency, Bridge 24.
Yeah, it's not done.
104 pictures.
Awful.
It's
It's
worthy,
like a horror
worthy
show.
of some,
It's like a
probably a
horror show.
replacement.
Yeah, that's good.
Makes you not want
Glad to have it on the
to.
list.
Anyway,
Okay.
that's the story of that.
Okay, so, the next item, review timesheets, pay orders, I trust everybody's looked at those, and make a motion that we approve the pay orders and timesheets.
Second.
Second, all in favor of approving, any questions on those?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll sign off on those, and then, before I go to the public, Jessica, you said you had one
Oh,
up.
well, just, this is like a public thing, just to say, I'm sure a bunch of people were out this weekend, and the water was released, and, I was out walking with Patrick and my sister, and it just so happened that Drew Hazelton's team, the River Rescue Squad, they have some new folks, and they were out there in full gear at the bridge, and, he just took us through everything that they were working on and kind of showed us what was happening, and I just wanted to, on behalf of the town, to thank him and thank his team. They were out there for hours in that cold water, doing, practicing, God forbid, something happened, and the river is, it's challenging even when it's not on a release day.
Yeah.
That day happened to be particularly challenging, which was fun to watch, but, so that was my thank you to Drew, to spending that time with us and for being as dedicated as he is, and for that team, and the new members as well. There were 3 or 4 new folks, all different ages, really giving their Saturday to this, and many more days in advance to prepare for the actual
right.
in-water training, so, thank you.
Yeah, it does totally always amaze me, the amount
Amazing.
of specialized training that they go
Oh.
through. It's not just driving the ambulance and all the EMT regular stuff, I mean, it's a very,
I had no idea. I'm a little ashamed of that, but I had no idea.
yeah, that's probably just one of the 20 things we don't even know about.
They did the rock climbing too, they.
Oh, right, right.
The climbing.
Over there by the ball field, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Rescue,
Yeah.
rescue.
So any other public concerns, Karen?
Yeah, well, I'd also like to just
Comments coming, yeah.
thank you to Rescue Inc. for being here. I mean, I'm so appreciative that we have them. Yes, they do a wonderful job, and they're right there every time, so it's great. I've been talking with Terry, and we'll bring it up at the next meeting, but I just want to warn you that it's nothing bad.
Are we pleased or frightened, Karen?
We had a meeting of the Village Cemetery Association, which owns the big cemetery there. And we have a 90-year-old, an 89-year-old, a couple of guys in their 70s, and myself, with no new members coming on to this association. We voted at our meeting to give the cemetery to the town. So we will be discussing that in more detail next week, so I'm not really wanting to keep you here too long about this, but there is about $70,000 in perpetual care funds that would be transferred over to the town. Village Cemetery Association owns the land, so it would need to be deeded over to the town. There is no loss of, no taxes are being paid on it, so there's no loss of taxes on it.
There's a statutory process for it, so it's pretty straightforward.
Yes. So, anyway,
Should I, and I'll add that to the agenda for our next meeting?
that would be great.
Yep.
Sure.
Do we have any choice?
Yeah, what if we say no?
All right,
Well,
it's always worth asking.
I would like to think that you would just nicely take
no
it on. I mean, the money that comes in from interest on this basically pays for the maintenance every year.
If it's
Yeah, I
sort
didn't
of,
know.
or
I
if
didn't know.
roughly, if it's self-sustaining,
Yeah.
no, the town has to do
Right.
it. But if it's in the hole,
Then we have to worry
there's
about it.
recourse, but not under this circumstance.
So I guess I would
Unintended.
expect information provided around that, just to
Yes.
kind of show
Yeah.
that for a
Exactly.
meeting. Okay, thank you.
I can also give a summary, but I have to do it from that level.
And I would also like the cemeteries to be surveyed.
Say that again?
I would like the cemeteries to be surveyed.
Oh.
Is that a bid that you would then come to the town with, or proposal to?
I think so.
It's just that we talked about it today. We've talked about it now.
Oh, many times, because it's, nobody knows
But
where it
it
ends
just
and where.
always
Well,
seems
today.
to fall by the wayside. So now we are just gonna come to you and ask if we can either, use some cemetery funds or something to get the ones that we think need to be surveyed done. And then that in turn was a discussion about the charge for the lots, which
I still need to call a meeting, and I did not get to that.
That's okay, Tom. I'm still working on this paper, trying to collect all the information about the cemeteries and get anything we have for maps to you.
So that's another
So
discussion.
I will be sending that out before the next
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
also.
Right,
Thank
right.
you, Karen.
Do you have like an order of priority, like order of need for a survey?
Well, that's kind of what.
So Rossendale Cemetery was surveyed in the 70s along
Okay.
with the village cemetery.
Okay.
Which is great. The thing is, when Stuart Dashi went through to do the survey, sometimes there's a spot where you think that somebody has been there. There's a little indentation, so you assume somebody is there. Sometimes it's just a field stone. You have no idea who these people are. We've been told for years people are buried around the outside of the cemeteries, paupers, people who didn't have any money for stones or couldn't buy a plot. We just don't know
Alright.
who's where.
Alright, so it's the high priority and
And
then
the
just,
East Jamaica Cemetery has a hand-drawn map by Fred Butler from back in the 70s also. But it's very detailed, it's very good.
oh, okay.
Okay.
But that's really all we have.
Yeah, I mean, the issue now is it's impossible to find someone and pricing has gone through the roof for surveys. I mean, it's like, right. So having a priority list and then, can we budget it for whatever we don't do this year? Can we budget it next year?
Sure.
I guess I'd like to budget it and then,
There is some money in the South Hill Cemetery Fund. Larry Goodman had passed away, and he very generously has donated money that can be used for this, for the South Hill Cemetery.
wow.
Yes. He had
That's a
donated
no-brainer. South Hill's number one now.
$10,000 before we fixed the gate there, which was around 1,000 or something like that, 1,400
Yeah,
maybe?
there's actually still the 10,000 in there because the town paid for the gate.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Is there a fence?
For a small survey, we could probably get away with that.
You know why there's a fence around all those cemeteries?
Why?
There's a
Because
stone
everybody's
wall.
dying to get in.
Oh, that hurts.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for,
Ending that discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Any additional comments or concerns or questions from anybody that's on the Zoom meeting?
I had something. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Go
Yep,
ahead.
you're good.
Sorry. Somehow I got involved in the.
I'm sorry, can you just state your name? We all know who you are, but just for the TV.
This is Eric Bowman.
Yep, thank you.
I am somehow have gotten involved in a sort of vague way in the workings that are happening over at on Water Street with the abandoned, I don't know what we call that lot, the lot where the house is washed away, that everyone knows, and worked with Karen and Jackie to help draw up a plan to show where trees could go and memorial and where the wildflower meadow could be part of that. But in the process, we discovered that that lot is really becoming overtaken very fast by invasive species. And we were proposing that we do a very, at least an immediate mitigation that will allow for yearly mowing. So having a guy come in and clear out the new sprouted black locusts and the big pile of knotweed before that whole lot becomes nothing but knotweed and black locust, which I think probably will happen very shortly. If that's what, if we do nothing, it's not very easy to maintain because you can't quickly mow it. But if we have this guy or someone come in and do a brush hog and mark out maybe some of the nicer natural areas and maintain it in the very least of the natural area, maybe keep the sumac, some of the sumac groupings and some of the existing mature sugar maple trees, and remove all of the weedy trees in between all the way up to the wetland area, then we can, in the very minimum, mow it once yearly. And if we want to do something more like create an intentional wildflower meadow or pollinator meadow, we can also do that. But still, the first step is to get down to a mowable place. If anyone's interested in the next steps, if you ever wanted to do a whole change of meadow, that would involve basically tilling the site, allowing the seeds to grow, and then shallow tilling at least 3 other times to get to bare earth, and then reseeding before the fall. That's how that's done. But this guy, we solicit 2 contractors. One of them showed up on Saturday and viewed the site. His name is John Provino. It's a guy I've worked with before, and he submitted an estimate. I forwarded it to Tom by email. You have it. It's for $1,500 for basically a day's worth of his time to do that.
Okay, well, I thank you for the information and kind of staying on it. I think the invasives is certainly something we need to kind of nip in the bud, but where it goes from there is further discussion. We haven't had a chance to delve into this, so I'm happy to put it on the agenda next week, and if you could forward either through Tom or somebody just information so we can kind of make a decision one way or the other.
Erica, if we make the decision in 2 weeks, is that
That's the concern I have too.
No, I have a concern, and I'm gonna be in conflict here. I'm very against you doing anything to that field besides letting it grow in. I saw all the houses go in there. I saw what can happen when the river jumps. I think we need to leave that space alone. Already people have been coming in. I mean, I'm an adjacent landowner, I'm also on the select board, but I'm not gonna step away from this unless you make me. There's another landowner who is opposed to anything besides what you have been doing to opening that up to the public. We got people stopping with their dogs all kinds of day and night. Nobody's picking it up. My dog's been out of shape. I got a fence. People are coming over to my fence already. I am totally opposed to that becoming any more than a green space in what you've done already as a citizen. That's just, we can all vote on it, it's just me, but I've got another neighbor who I can speak for that would be very opposed to going any further than what you have graciously done already.
Well,
Can I just comment to that, just one moment, and say that the proposal is to maintain it as a natural area, and in order to do that, there are the problem is that there are some very aggressive invasive species that will inevitably take over the site, and the longer you wait to attack those species, the more expensive it becomes because they grow very fast. So that's the reason. But the proposal was not to turn it into any kind of anything but a natural area.
It is a natural area already. It's been fine until we just heard it's not fine. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Let's take, any information you have, Erica, on either the proposals or what somebody wants to do, and then we can more thoroughly get into the details and have a full discussion at our next meeting.
And Andy, we would never tell you not to raise your opinion.
No, absolutely.
I mean,
No, I'm not speaking
from my
for just
standpoint
myself.
too, from my standpoint too, I'm an adjacent landowner, and I do not support development there, as Andy's saying, of whatever, we have parking problem there. There's nowhere for people, if it's I like to call it a destination site. If people come in, they're parking their cars on the road, we don't know who they are, we don't know where they're coming from, I'm not terribly comfortable with that. On the other token, I hear what Eric is saying too, and if the land is gonna be taken over by invasive species, and I've worked with some of that, with the,
Poison parsnip.
the trees. No,
The yellow one, the yellow.
Poison parsnip.
The black walnut?
Black walnut. No, the trees that, the locust, thank you. And then, I mean, those are covered in thorns, cut my hands all up.
Yeah,
It was terrible. So if we can push those types of things back, I'm not against it. I think that could be beneficial. Instead of having just a junky piece of land with knotweed and locust trees on it. I think that's not pretty. That just becomes a waste space. So that's my take on it.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
I may not be there for the next meeting, but so someone will have to take that on.
Karen?
Whatever.
I will be.
Yeah, it's good to have all the facts, and that's what we're getting at. So. Okay, any further public questions? Any need for an executive session that somebody feels?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning? No approval necessary. We're out of here.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.